Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with a guitar. And they call me on the phone. They ask me. They say, "Hey man, oh, what have I done? Oh, weird. What was I saying? Oh, They call me on the phone. They ask me. They say, "Hey man, what's your show about?" And I say, "Well, it's about guitars. Guitar. Well, it's about an hour, right? Okay, about guitar players, guitar playing, all things guitaristic." Got thrown off. I'm telling the same stupid joke for years. Anyway, so here's the thing: if you want to call me and ask me about, how to play the guitar, the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you. If you want to talk about some related topic like, the guitarrón, the guitarra, sitar, lutes, uds, vihuelas, banjos, balalaikas, bazookies, bajos, sextos, tiples, cavaquinhos. Oh. Sitars. Sorry, there's this hum going on. I thought it was my guitar. It's actually something in the studio. So, anything like guitarrón, anything. Let's say banjos, balalaikas, bazookies. I'm getting off. Pipe organs, piccolos, ocarinas, accordions, clarinets, clavinets, clavinovas, trombones, trombomarinas, cornetos, timbales or timpanis, harmoniums, harpsichords. Anyway, anything musical is fine. Politics, world events, your own personality problems, it's fine. I'm here for you, but keep it clean. This is a family show. All right. So I brought a couple guitars this week. This year's a Stratocaster that I got a really good deal on this in the pawn shop, actually, down there on Riverside Drive. And I go down there, and sometimes I find things down there I just can't live without. And it's not like I didn't already have a few Stratocasters. I actually got rid of one that I had. It was a Chinese Squire Strat that I liked because it was gold, and it was kind of cool. But it just was, it wasn't that good a guitar. I mean, probably needed new pickups or something. But I got this one, reasonably quite inexpensively, really. But it's a Mexican Strat, and I like the Mexican Strats a lot of times. Not all of them, but a lot of them are really good. And it has LASIK pickups. Right? People have been talking about LASIK pickups on Stratocasters for years, and I, I never had any. So now I have a Mexican Strat with LASIK pickups. I have the red one, the blue one, and the silver one. And it means something to people who know their LASIKs really well. I've heard about it. I can't remember which one's which, but anyway, I really like this guitar. I played this one on Friday night at the Tuscan Moon. We had the Valentine's Day weekend. So I actually played 5 hours straight through, no break, on this guitar. And I played my sort of, light jazz, dinner music thing with it. And normally you wouldn't do a gig like that with a Stratocaster. You'd use a hollow body jazz guitar or something. So nice full sound. Become a guitar I want to reach for. So anyway, that's. Hang on. Sorry. I'm trying to get the microphone out of the way, and good thing I got this loop going here. Anyway, Pawn Shop Stratocaster. Took it home and cleaned it up, polished it all up, and restrung it, and yeah. And now we're very happy together. Yeah. Anyway, so I brought another guitar just in case. I have this one over here. This is an Epiphone, a Dot Studio. It's an ES335. I guess an ES335 copy. And Epiphone, of course, is the company that well, Gibson bought them a long time ago. They were in Michigan, and then they used that name Epiphone for their import line. So this is a Chinese guitar. They've been made in different countries. This one's made in China. And the thing about it is, I kind of like it. I've had it in the show before, but I've been strongly thinking about just selling it. So I'm doing a bit of soul searching. I took it to work with me today when I went up to Coe College and taught with it. I have a little amp that I don't like that much that was in my studio. I just brought it home because I think I might sell that. But anyway, I'm going to these guitar shops, and I'm selling them my stuff for store credit, and then so I can get new stuff. So I'm trying to decide, doing a bit of soul searching. I really want the ES335. So a fellow told me he can get them to build me a Heritage up there in Michigan where the Gibson factory used to be, using the same equipment that they built Gibsons with and everything, and some of the same employees from back in the Gibson days. And they can build me a Heritage, which would be an excellent 335 copy, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, everything. But it'd be a couple $1,000s. So this thing here was a few $100s. So I'm just searching my soul. I'm sorry to share all this with you out there, but I want these pretty sounds, And as a lad, I wasn't impressed by the electric guitar. I was really, interested in classical guitar, and that was my first love. And I still love classical guitar. That's like if I had to have one thing, if I could only do one thing, I'd do classical guitar. But I could do all kinds of things. So I find it interesting to explore other sounds, other ways of playing, other sorts of music. And I think that if you play some sort of some blues and some rock and some country and different kinds of folk music and things, and jazz, of course, and flamenco, whatever kind of all the different kind of folk music that's in the world. It really enhances your classical music, and it could very well be that people who, people have gotten their ideas for classical music out of popular music or out of folk music. You listen to Beethoven or Bach. Bach maybe takes a little hymn, a simple little hymn that people would sing, and then turns it into something, amazing by doing like variations, like making it into a fugue or something. And so these little melodies and things that people really like, are usually like popular music. And and of course I play all these low rent gigs, and I get to see how people react to different kinds of music, and also different kinds of instruments. So some weeks ago I did my Uptown Bill's Coffee House show, the last one in January, and I was goofing off a little bit. I had a banjo, and I had my Lamborghini yellow DBZ Flying V guitar. So I got that thing out, and there was a woman there. What I heard was that I was told later that she was quite disappointed because she thought I was going to tear into some heavy metal or some hard rock. Instead, I played this sort of like jazzy stuff, because of course my point, my joke was you can make this wild-looking guitar sound really quite beautiful, and do this kind of major 9 chord. You can play stuff like that on it. It doesn't have to just be like, like kind of. But then again, I don't mind playing like. I do all kinds of things for fun. Why not? You know, life is full of variety. We hope. So, sorry. It's not that I'm boring myself. I'm probably just boring my audience. But I didn't sleep much, and I had to go up to Cedar Rapids. And, you know, I had a little room down the hall at Coe College. Where I try to.
You have a window?
I have a windowless room. Yeah, no,
I'm sorry?
a window. You say?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a window. No window. Yeah. I have a squalid little room down the hall, which I share with a viola teacher. So I mean, fill in your own viola player joke, so you can see what your status is now. There are voice teachers who have corner offices with a grand piano and a hardwood floor. But it's more appropriate for a guitar teacher to have a squalid little room down the hall. See? It's bigger than a practice room, but a little bit anyway. But, so.
And all things considered, not too bad sharing it with a violist. That's could be a trombonist or a
Oh yeah, well they're messy, you know. They
bagpipe player.
Well, the bagpipe player, no, the viola player and I aren't there at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We're at alternate times. The trombonists, of course, they leave wet spots on the floor, you know, from their water valves. But you know what they say, the difference between a trombone player and a sax player? Sax player has a job. So there's a classic, how do you get a trombone player off your porch? You pay for the pizza, you know. Anyway, sorry. Actually, some of my best friends have been trombone players. I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's true. I knew a guy, actually, he was a student, I guess he maybe graduated from the University of Iowa. He was a trombone player. And he got a job working in the repair shop at West Music. This is years ago when I was a salesman and I guess an assistant manager or whatever. I worked in the West Music. And so we go out together. We go out to drink a beer, you know, and he'd have 2 beers and say, well, that's enough for me. You know, he was a very straight-laced guy. Dave, I guess. But anyway, what he discovered was that he had a talent for turning bells. You know, you turn a brass bell on trombones. And so he actually went to work for went to an intern in a trombone factory in, I think in Massachusetts. And, and he was actually quite talented. And then he came back, and then he went back there, and I hadn't seen him again. I heard he got married and settled down and everything. And so I was thinking about them. So I was actually talking to a trombone player backstage at Coe College for a faculty recital or some concert or something that I was playing in, and talking to a guy holding a trombone. And so yeah, I knew a guy who had a talent for turning bells and making trombones, you know. And I remembered his name. I told him, they said, "Oh yeah, that's who built this trombone." Because he has his own factory now. He has his own trombone company. So local boy makes good. So. I mean, a trombone might just look like plumbing to somebody else, but that's pretty fancy plumbing, you know. It's all right. And, you know, if you are a trombone player, if there's like a gang of trombone players who want to, you know, meet me in the alley after the show and beat me up. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with trombone. I'm just saying it's not as easy to get a job as a trombonist as in other instruments. Now, there's more call for guitar players, but the thing is that there are an awful lot of guitar players out there, a whole lot of guitar players out there. I'm lucky to be working. So anyway, now of course this is no Flying V, but it's a Stratocaster. And it's mostly, considered a rock guitar. They play country and blues on it, but I don't know what you call the kind of music I just played. Space, I don't know. But, you can get a big lush sound out of it. This amp I'm using over here this is a little Fender, what's it called? It's a Mustang 1. This is a small, inexpensive practice amp, basically. And I never have to play very loudly. But on it, it has a bunch of effects. And it has like amp modeling. So it models different amplifiers from, history. I know, I'll go take a look. Yeah. Oh yeah, so this is the only amp I really model is a Fender Bassman amp, which is actually a bass amp that a lot of like jazz guitar players have used in the past. So I have that, and I have a little bit of reverb and delay on it. Was it reverb and chorus? Let me check again. I forget what I have on this thing. Yeah. It's a little reverb and delay. So it's basically modeling a Fender Bassman amp and some reverb and delay. It's it's a fairly inexpensive amp. I mean, it's like $100 or something like that. Your usual music retailer. I think it's probably made in China. Fender, of course, is an American company. It's been around since the late 40s. The American-made Fender stuff is quite excellent. As far as I have some. I have a real Fender guitar. I've had a few real Fender things in there, but they're quite expensive. A lot of their stuff is made in other places. This Fender guitar here is actually originally made in Mexico, and pickups are, I guess, made in the U.S. and they're kind of custom. But anyway, so I actually have nicer amps and so forth and different guitars, but I can. Just, if you just dial up the sound you want, so maybe the sound I want, rather than being distorted and crunchy, is kind of, kind of more lush and reverb. And people don't like reverb, but my favorite shows I've ever played, I played some concerts in the Sculpture Quarter of the Art Museum at the University of Iowa, which was closed when the it got flooded, which was a terrible disaster. So the art campus got flooded, so some of my favorite places to play were the Sculpture Court in the Art Museum and Clapp Hall at the Music Building. Now, and I really like, so when I would play in these places, I wouldn't use any amplification. I'd use like a classical guitar or a really high quality steel string guitar. And I would just interact with the reverb. There was a natural reverb in the room. The Sculpture Court was a great big stone room with a stone floor and a really high ceiling that had sort of a pyramid shape to it. Not exactly a dome, but so the sound would have a chance to really like fill out the space and then kind of bounce back. Now I know other people would go crazy in there. Like I knew some jazz musicians, and they played very loud electric jazz music, And they, of course, they had the reverb on their amps like I do now, and of course that would just sound terrible. So my thing would be I'd play a concert, and it would be the sort of thing where there'd be a bunch of chairs, and everybody would have a little program in their lap, and there was no talking, or you're not talking and eating pizza or anything like that. Well, or drinking or something. You're there to listen. So in a listening crowd with a big, empty, like open room with lots of head space, they would. Oh, wow. Something's coming apart here. Sorry. Oh. My strap is falling off. Weird. Anyway, so what I'm nattering on about incoherently is that, of course, I like reverb. I like actually playing. I used to play recitals in a little Lutheran church, which had a high ceiling and beams across, and something about the airspace, the amount of air that was in there and everything like that, made it very conducive to kind of gigs I want to play. So, well, I'm having a problem here. The strap is coming off here, so I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to go leave my position here, unplug this thing, go over there, look at my equipment bag for a screwdriver, and see if maybe the screw's coming loose. And then I'm also going to have to switch over to this other guitar, because like last week or so, I had that yellow guitar that I was trying to decide whether to sell it or not, and the string broke, and I don't know. So I'm thinking about selling both of my ES-335 copies. But first, let me take care of a little business here. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'll be right back. Here, where are we? Oh, here we go. Okay, in here somewhere, I got me a toolkit. Somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. See if this is any good. Yeah, this is my screwdriver from the dollar store. See. Okay. So I don't know. Doesn't seem so. Oops, it came out. Oh boy. See, that was the problem. See, what I do is I put these, I move the screw. Look at that, it looks like it's stripped out. I always want to move this, the strap button on a Stratocaster from being up on the horn, they call it, to here. Oh, this appears to be it appears to be stripped. The wood has been yeah, the hole's too big. This guitar's been through a lot. I've did some repairs on it. Okay, well, I know what I'll do. Here, I'll put my screwdriver over here. Yeah, I think I like this strap better. Fortunately, I have another guitar. See how this one's doing. What have we done here? All right, a little tuning's in order. Okay, so this is my Epiphone Dot, and it's somewhere between here and Go College. It's gotten terribly out of tune. So I was saying, I'm thinking about selling this thing. I kind of like this this groovy red color. But, you know, it wants to be a Gibson ES 335, but it doesn't quite do it. You know. If you don't know your guitars and think about them all the time like I do, the Gibson ES 335 is a well-known guitar, and it's the one that B.B. King always plays. His Lucille guitar, or guitars he's had, are ES 335s. And, of course, he's very, you know, it makes them sound really good. That's what they do. I kind of like to get one, but they're extremely expensive, you know. But the thing about having the cheap knockoff is it's sort of like, it looks kind of like an ES 335. It's the same shape and everything, built along the same lines, but it just doesn't quite do the same thing. And I like this guitar sometimes, but then I don't get what I want out of it. And also it's making little noises. See, I'm getting more lush sounds out of the Stratocaster, which is unusual because this is a hollow body or a semi-hollow, and it should be fuller. So, anyway, here I'm agonizing over these things. I think it was last week's show I had the other 335 copy that I have, an Ibanez Artcore, and I was, you know, strongly thinking about selling that one too. For one thing, I need more space on the wall to put other guitars, but it's just this journey, you know. See, also this thing about like wanting to get fewer guitars now, because you know you get this breathing out and breathing in. So I've been breathing in the guitars, and now I'm starting to think, well, you know, somebody else. There's nothing wrong with this guitar or the other ones that I've actually sold recently. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just what they are, you know. And you know, there's some guitars are designed for people who want to, you know, they have distortion. And they want to rock in a certain way. And this is not my voice. You know, we all have our own, like, our own voices or sounds we want to make. And I, you know, as I keep nattering on about, I want that kind of a smooth, full, rich, lush, reverb, little delay sound that I would get if I were playing in a cathedral. In fact, I know a guy who plays in a cathedral on Sundays in Texas. He's like a church musician. And I don't know if he's even religious. I don't know what his deal is, but he's a 10-string classical guitarist, which is one of my things I'm into. And of course, the 10-string guitar has a lot more sympathetic vibration because it has more strings. It's like the grand piano of classical guitars. And it also has a low bass note and everything, and it goes lower than a guitar normally does. And so he plays that in a cathedral. And of course, a cathedral is a really large church with a huge amount of headspace. And you know, people have been building churches for many centuries. And before they were building churches, before there were churches, there were temples and things. And so people have been trying to get these large acoustic spaces and getting it right. So that's why so many of these churches are, you know, just sound so good. My brother is a recording engineer. He records out at St. Bridget's Church out off the road to Morse, north of Iowa City. And it's a deconsecrated Catholic church, but the thing about it is it's built along the same design as a whole bunch of other churches around, you know, Europe and the Americas. It's a, you know, it's like it's a design that's, you know, people worked out over time. So I think it's the same church as St. Wenceslas, but St. Wenceslas had some additions put onto it. But it's the same, you know, inner, you know, sanctuary. So I've recorded in there. I did that CD with Wayne Newsel of songs from the Civil War. And, you know, you put a couple of microphones in front of my guitar, my banjo, and you put another microphone in front of a baritone you know, singer, and sing the battle cry of freedom, and you get this really lovely sound without, you know, electronics, no, you know, no digital reverb or anything like that. It's just a big room. You know? So that's what I like. And so if I get an electric guitar, you know, through an amp, and this guitar is okay, but it's a little bit nasally, you know. So. Maybe it would be good for something like. So next week would be, that'll be the last Tuesday of the month already. Came around kind of fast. So as you, all those of you who regularly watch me on the second to the last Tuesday of the month would know I always announce that we'd play at Uptown Bill's Coffee House, and I don't have much of a plan. Mr. Skopinski is going to read some poetry. I'm going to try to do something special. I have some young fellas I was going to have them play on the show, maybe. We'll see. Haven't been doing a very good job publicizing it and getting an audience there, so very few people show up, which is my concern. But I hate to put everybody to make a big fuss over something that's, not that many people here. We could as easily do the show here in the studio. Now, in April, I'm hoping to have a whole bunch of classical guitarists. And in March, I'm probably going to have, I'm not sure, but I'm probably going to have a jazz band of college students from Coe College up there in Cedar Rapids and, come on the show and do their thing and get them, we'll get them on TV, they'll be on YouTube and everything like that. But this February show is kind of, well, maybe it'll be intimate. I guess we're going to do it, aren't we? Mr. Skopinski, you going to be there to Tom's Guitar Show? He's not watching. But, so, anyway, Uptown Bill's, 6 o'clock, corner of South Dubuque, Lafayette. Tom's Guitar Show live from the coffee house. You can go up, have a cup of coffee. Have one of their exotic soda pops that they have there, they sell. They're very big on their exotic soda pops. It's a live performance. So you can see how the magic's made. Of course, Bob has been snowbirding in Las Vegas, so he won't be there for his Pearls of Wisdom. I'll be, I think it's something good to do, though. I'll try to, anyway. If you show up, you could tell me whether you think I should sell this guitar or not. I'm kind of tempted, to get rid of it. And the yellow one. Well, be here next week. Upstairs, Uptown Bill's Coffee House. I'll be at the Tuscan Moon in Kelowna. Saturday night, about 6:30. Make a reservation. If it's busy, I might be there Friday night. Be in Journey Church in Coralville. Sunday morning at 10:30.